Okay, folks, welcome back to another edition of Sunset Builders and Maintenance Podcast. I'm joined here today by local realtor Jose Carreras, and we are going to talk about flood zones to get going with this current round. I'm going to let him introduce himself again. If you need anything built, remodeled, general contracting services, we're your team here locally in the Iona-McGregor. We service Fort Myers Beach, Sanibel, and most all of Lee County. You can reach us info@sunsetbuilders.net, or you can call our office 239-236-9646. Jose, just before we turn the camera back on, I asked you, what's your biggest hurdle towards sales at the moment? And you had started to wax eloquently about flood zones. Talk to me about this.
So flood zones are the number one item that are being brought up in any conversation with buyers specifically. And really, as a listing agent, you kind of need to be proactive, so you should be having them on the listing side as well. I always do. But with buyers specifically that I'm searching for, it's gotten to the point where you're thinking about affordability. If you're working with a finance buyer specifically, then the question comes up, affordability has to be the top of the mind because it's the biggest objection when you're selling something in the first place. So what happens when you get through the process and somebody really loves a home and you're not having this conversation before? Cool, we see a house, awesome, great renovation, like beautiful house in an awesome location. You get towards the inspection period and you put it under contract, they start shopping insurance. What do they find out? Mandatory flood zone. Guess what? You have a subsequent double the amount of your homeowner's insurance is now nearly double because you have to get flood insurance to comply with the loan.
And all of a sudden that affordable house just went off the market.
Boom.
Because it's not affordable.
That's exactly right.
So let's talk about flood zones real quick from a contracting perspective, and I'm not going to pretend like I know everything about this. Please do your own research. Let me throw that caveat out there. Definitely. So somebody way up high in government said we need to get rid of all of these ranch level houses. It's going to flood in Florida. We're going to have hurricanes down there. And it would be cheaper if we could just get all of those houses to be conforming, which is 1 foot above the base flood elevation, which is part of the FEMA maps. You can go research them. Well, it's not cheap to lift those houses. A basic 1,500 square foot CMU home is going to run you around $300,000 to $400,000 to hydraulically lift that house. Then you have to reconnect all your utilities. You have to build a set of stairs, and then if you want to beautify that bottom area, you got to clean that all up.
Time out. $300,000 to $400,000
just to hydraulically lift it. That's a salt box.
But also think about that type of house that you're asking to do that on, right? Yeah. Because these are old, charming Florida houses that are 1,200, 1,800 square feet. $300,000 to $400,000 is incredible. Yeah. Sorry to cut you off.
One of the most heartbreaking stories is to tell a customer, here's your alternative. You can renovate those houses, but you're limited to 50% of the building value for the last physical year prior to the hurricane. So in some cases it goes back to 2022, maybe even 2021, if nothing has happened to those homes since the hurricane.
This is the 50% rule.
That's the 50% rule that FEMA is implementing to kind of control what gets built back and what doesn't. Now here's the catch. If you cannot put your house back to its pre-storm condition with that 50%, you can't remodel. Right. So we had a customer approach us, it was real soon after the hurricane. They wanted us to renovate their home. They had a very large footprint. It was 2,800 square feet. Mm-hmm. So we thought, okay, maybe we can get this to work. Actually, it works against you. The more square feet you have, your building value doesn't go up in the same proportion. After all was said and done, we had something like $150,000 to play with, and we couldn't do anything for them. So we wound up having to tear that house down. It was the only resource left to the customer was to tear it down. Wow. And the husband was a political aide, worked in the intelligence business, advised 3 different presidents. Wow. Patriot and all that good stuff, and here I've got to tear his house down. That's incredible. I hated that. Yeah. So that's the burden that I fall into all the time. These customers, oh, yeah, we just want to fix this house. I'm like, yeah, I would love to fix your house, and I can't. And if you drive around out on Sanibel, Fort Myers Beach right now, you will see all kinds of ranch level homes.
That's right.
And they're just sitting there in the same state that they were prior to or right after Hurricane Ian. They've never been touched.
What do you have to say about the ones that I'm seeing come to market ranch style? And I say to myself, man, this is freshly remodeled, but it hasn't been lifted. It's what's going on here?
So more than likely, you had a homeowner who's pretty handy, that knows what they're doing, that didn't say anything, and they didn't get caught. Now, I can guarantee you that if that took place in Cape Coral, you're going to get a letter from the city of Cape Coral. Because they used overhead satellite imagery, and they went back and they have evaluated every house, street by street, by address, and if they saw home damage material sitting at the road in the wake of the storm, I guarantee you got a letter.
Wow.
If you didn't pull a permit to fix that home the right way, you definitely got a letter from them. We've helped at least 5 or 6 customers go back after the fact. It's called pulling a permit after the fact, so that they can be legitimate in their repairs. So by the way, if you got one of those in Cape Coral, we've done those. We've helped people out with those a lot.
Big deal.
Depends on how much you did. I can't give you a standard price because it's all based upon what you did. But
so
yes.
Wait, reverse. So you mean to say, like, okay, let's say you did work post hurricane. You were handy. You cut out the drywall. You put the drywall. You mudded. You put new flooring down. All good. You sewn back up. You're saying that you provide a service where you can go back in and then retroactively add the permits to that renovation, or is
Correct. So what Cape Coral is saying is you were supposed to pull a permit so that we can make sure that you're complying with the FEMA rules.
Understood.
And a lot of those homeowners did not pull a permit, and so they're not in compliance, and they are facing fines. So what Cape Coral tells them is you have to find a licensed general contractor or engineer to come in and certify the work that you did. If it's cosmetic, we put a kitchen, we put some flooring down, that's one thing. Sometimes you get stuff, well, we had to rip this wall out because it got flooded.
Right.
Well, then the city will say, we need to see that insulation, so we have to go open up a little inspection hole. They've been very good to work with, I'll give them that. Okay. They don't make us rip all of it back out, and we show them the insulation. Okay, fine, you can close that up.
Okay.
But that's... FEMA clamped down on all of the building departments because they were just shoveling money at them to get these houses fixed, and then it turns out they weren't documenting it the proper way. This was a big news story about a year ago, this time frame, and FEMA just tightened up the rules, and it made getting permits really, really hard.
100%. Yep. I'm seeing that across the board.
Don't be afraid to question it. If you walk in a house, if you're gonna, I do this all the time, drives people crazy.
No.
If you're gonna buy a house and it looks like it's relatively new, ask your realtor, who did this work? Was it permitted? You can actually, I don't care where a house is located, it falls under some building department's jurisdiction. There's a way to go look and see if a permit was pulled. If you don't see permits, that means, we call them hairy homeowner, did the work. Are you willing to bank the next 10, 15 years on what he did to that house? That is a huge negotiation point in my mind.
Yeah. It's tough because even as a realtor, it's like, a lot of the renovations that you've seen, and I've worked again 9 years in Southwest Florida. Not every one of those had a permit. Bought them all the same. I had a house that was partially renovated too. Did not have permits, but all the same, like it still had to me it had again. But this was like $177,000 house. It's a little bit different, And
the markets have changed.
It's correct.
There was less than 5 years ago, it was definitely a seller's market.
Yes.
You could have put a doghouse out there in the middle of our driveway, and it would have probably got about 150 grand.
Well, if I did an open house, you'd have 30 people outside of it.
And people would be pre-approved, ready to go. So you could get away with a lot of things. Now we're kind of like in the middle. I don't think it's truly a buyer's market or truly a seller's market. We're kind of like...
We're in an even keel market. It depends on where you're looking at. So like we have some anomalies that are definitely ice cold. Like the condo segment specifically, definitely ice cold.
Well, let's talk about that. I forgot you had mentioned that before. Why are you having so much trouble selling condos right now?
So condos specifically are an affordability issue, and this for all the same reasons we're talking about flood. What's happening is that insurance costs have gone up, right? So of course we have the most costly storm of all time hit us right on head on Ian, right?
Well, insurance costs in condos went up for two reasons.
Okay.
Number one, which happened, they happened almost simultaneously. Do you remember the high tower condos that collapsed in Miami?
Of course.
So that spawned a little rule called the threshold inspections.
That's right.
Every condo association has to have those threshold inspections, and they have to show proof where they are addressing any issues that the engineers bring up.
That's right.
That just depleted a lot of condo associations' back reserves, if they had any.
Right.
Most of them didn't have it.
Yeah.
Okay, so number one, that price went up, and then number two, we had the hurricane that came along and did a lot of damage on the upper and bottom level floors. Middle floors kind of they were a little bit spared, but the upper floors and the lower floors are the ones that took the biggest brunt of it. So that's why condos cost what they cost right now, and people are having a difficult time moving them, I would say.
100%. And it's just now it's a bubbling of inventory, right? So we're about 4 years removed from Ian now. So first year, cool, people immediately sprung to market. The fast people that had okay during the storm got rid of them before bubbling insurance costs, right? So insurance costs, so when you're buying a condo, the insurance for the building, walls out, what we say in the biz, walls out are taken care of by, in most cases, by your association, right? So your HOA dues may come along not only with exterior maintenance and community pool, all the things, some of your utilities maybe, but the exterior insurance is wrapped in. So as your insurance prices went up across the board, that's why you saw your HOA fees go up as well. So we're talking about in the zip code that we sit in right now, we were talking about an average HOA cost monthly for consumers between like $200 to $400. We're now really more like $550 to $750 on a monthly. So
that's more than I paid for rent when I was in college.
Well, that's what I mean. And so how hard is it to say, hey, pay this price at an all-time high? That's why you're seeing regression year over year, and now we're actually right back in condos in this zip code that we sit in, back to 2019, 18 levels right now for the condos. We're hovering for a renovated cost, and today it's February 26th or something like that, 2026. That for a renovated unit in so probably something like $240 a square or so for a renovated condo, maybe even less at $230, and it's driving downward because of downward pressure because of inventory. So yeah.
Different topic real quick. Do you deal with new builds very much?
Yes, but builders specifically have made it tough over the years, and during the boom 2020 and 2021, they weren't very realtor friendly at one point. You can imagine. Compensation.
I do renovations. I have never built a single house. I've done a lot of commercial work, which is completely different. I can build a house. I know how to build a house, but we do remodels. So tell me about that. I'm curious.
So the biggest thing was during when everybody was doing very well for themselves, and we had this immense sellers market. Builders are sellers too. So their compensation packages that they used to entice realtors to come to bring their clients, they didn't need realtors. So of course you go from sometimes an incentive as high as 5% all the way down to 1% in some of the big builders cases.
Wow.
So I think that left a bad taste in.
So you didn't take your clients to the new builds?
Well, why would I, right? So at the end of the day, it's still a business at the end of the day. So by all means, of course, I'll advise if my client wants to go, we're going. It is what it is. But am I going to stand up and raise my hand about it? Of course not. Let's be real. But anyway, now the incentives have gotten better on the compensation. But what I'm finding out is that if you bring it to a new builder, if it's not a spec home, if it's not like 95% completion, talking about finishes only left, there has been a bad taste in consumers' mouth about how long it takes from beginning to end to finish a new build, right? And you don't know if the cost today is going to be the cost tomorrow. You don't know if you're getting 20%, 50, 25, and again, don't get me wrong, the same things that we talked about in the previous segment where you were talking about lumber and these things being more expensive, you could understand it,
right.
But as a consumer, the number one thing is transparency, and here we are getting 25% more than what we paid for.
We have to put those cost escalation clauses in there, or else we get killed.
That's right.
You know,
Double-edged sword.
This is one of the very few industries where the total time frame to complete something can be 2-3 years long.
That's right.
Depending upon. Similar train of thought here. About a year or so ago, some bad news broke out. Contractors in general got a black eye, but propagated by a couple of contractors in Cape Coral that were doing some less than honorable stuff. Let's just say it that way. I'm not naming anybody's names or anything like that. And I don't know. I've never spoken to anybody from any of those firms. I don't know. But the news articles, and the news is always correct. But the news articles that came out, they told a lot of stories about consumers like you and I who had to put money down to build a house. Has that affected you at all? In your business? Because it's definitely affected me.
Tell me this again. What again?
So some contractors performing or not taking care of their finances properly, and they just went out of business.
You mean just going contractors?
They went out of business.
Yeah. So you're talking about contractors or new builds specifically? So,
well, some of these firms did a little bit of both.
Yeah. So it kind of depends. Yes. Has it affected business? Of course. I think it just left a stain in a lot of buyers' mouth. Like, also not only that, but some of the quality of the new build, depending on the price point, I suppose, right? Because there's different tiers. But the bottom, the lower affordability half, like let's call it half and low, like 500,000 and lower.
Yeah.
Those quality builds are not what they used to be. I would say most of the consumers that are buying houses, when they go into those new constructions that are 550 and lower, they're looking to themselves like saying, man, they don't build them like they used to.
And they don't.
Right.
If they built them like they used to, they would be $750,000 to $1 million.
That's exactly right. Right.
We're doing what we can do to create that price point.
Exactly right.
Builders get a bad rap for many different reasons. Customers are right to be suspicious. Ask questions. That's my favorite thing. Ask me questions. Tell me, what is concerning you, and I'm going to tell you how we handle it.
Right.
I've got a client right now, we're just finishing up his project, and he had a contract, and my contract clearly states how things will go. On the end, punch list, when do I pay, when do I don't pay.
Sure.
And he started saying, okay, well, when you get this punch list done, and I'm like, well, hold on a second. Let's read what the contract says. And the contract says on my last full day of work, I'm expecting to get paid, and then you write me a punch list, and I'm going to come right back there and fix it all. So read your contracts, folks. I can't say this enough. Do not rely upon somebody, even if you're talking to me and I say, I'm going to do this, make sure it's in your contract.
Yeah.
If you believe something, I can't tell you how many times I listen to people's stories about how they got screwed over by a handyman or an unlicensed person who did work for them, did it halfway, got paid 75% of the money, and bolted.
Yeah.
There were so many of those people out there running around in the wake of the storms, and customers were just, they were crying for help. And any port in a storm, I guess, to use a Navy analogy. Don't take that mentality, folks. Take an extra day, take a deep breath, and if you have questions about a project, if you want to know about your contract, I'm happy to listen and provide free advice. Won't charge you a dime for it. Come and talk to me. I'll be happy to listen to what you got going on, and I'll tell you if it makes sense or not. If you're spending more than $5,000 on anything construction related, there should be a contract that says who I am, who you are, and what I'm going to do, and when I expect you to pay me. Those are minimum requirements.
Yeah. No, it's really sad, and I can empathize because I had a house that was affected during the storm. We caught about shin high in water, so we had to gut it out, and then we found termite damage on top of it. So we went down to stud and had to bring it all the way back, and of course we didn't have enough money from the insurance to cover it, so we came out of pocket, and I had to sell my way out of that renovation.
Insurance, it's a necessary evil, but I have never been so disenchanted with an organization. I've seen so many customers in the wake of the storm waiting and waiting and waiting.
That's right.
To get their payment.
Yeah.
To get what they had been paying for months to get adjudicated. And then the worst part about it, it's almost like a slap in the face. You've got a $100,000, $300,000 claim, and they said, okay, here's $27,000.
Exactly.
Like, how do you justify that?
Yeah.
You know.
And so I had a tree fall down on my screen enclosure, and they said it wasn't from wind.
It just magically fell.
Yeah, that's what I said. So I mean, so I empathize with the consumer on that, man. It's hard to trust insurance companies.
Interior floods that happen by man-made problems, a kitchen flood, a bathroom flood that damages all your kitchen cabinets.
Yeah,
you're lucky if you get $2,000 or $3,000.
Exactly right.
Go replace a kitchen for $2,000 or $3,000. It's not going to happen.
No.
So
no, 100%.
Jose, we've covered a lot of topics here. We're running short on time. Anything else that strikes your fancy? Once again, you got a captive audience. Anything else about a contractor there, and how I do my business that you would
so
like
I
to know?
suppose, I mean, like, what do I really want to say? Like, so I do want to touch back on the thing about like a relationship between realtor and construction guy, because I sense when we first met, like, you know, you're probably like a realtor, right? Like I could just tell, like I could tell, you know. And don't get me wrong, like I say it in just to my friends, well, I kind of hate realtors too. So I totally understand what you could mean, because the barrier of entry I really respect your craft because of the barrier of entry is so in depth, right? Like you cannot wake up tomorrow, decide in less than 12 months that you want to be what you are, and then do it well. And you know, you can't really do it as well as a realtor either, but at least you can get your license in less than a year. And there's a lot of agents out there just flying and not really helping the general public. So I really commend you on that. But I do want to ask, I mean, the real question is how does our relationship as professional to professional get better? And I mean by professional, I mean like the person who cares about the craft, cares about true market value, pushing equity, helping ROI for clients. What do you say to the actual professional realtors, and what can we do to, what's a more insightful, intelligible, what would make us respectable in your eyes?
You get what you pay for. Short, sweet, and to the point. You get what you pay for. I have been doing what I do for 27 years. And I always use the brain surgeon analogy. If your general practitioner told you today you have cancer on your brain and you need to go get it taken care of, and you walk in, you have two neurosurgeons that you can go see. This one's been in business for 30 years. This guy just got his license last week. By the way, do you know what they call the guy that graduated last in medical school?
What?
Doctor.
That's fine.
So, do you think you're going to get the same quote from these two doctors?
Of course not.
Probably not. Okay. When I walk into a customer's home, I started doing all of this in Buffalo, New York, and then I've been down here since 2000 working in people's homes. I'm not Superman. I can't see through drywall, but I have a general idea just from walking into your house what I can expect behind those walls. Mm-hmm. I get this call a lot. Seller selling a home, they do the inspection. The inspection comes back, oh, you got soffit rot. Can you fix this for me? Well, sure I can. When I go out to fix the soffit rot, I'm wondering, why did that occur? You know, is there something else going on that we really need to look at? Do you have a roof slope issue? Do you have a gutter issue that's not being addressed? So that's how my brain's working. I'm trying to not just fix what you call me for, but I'm trying to see if there's something else going on that nobody said anything about. If you call your cousin's husband who has a truck and a skill saw, we call them trucks in a truck, that doesn't have licensure, so you're in trouble right there. No insurance, you're in trouble again right there. Right. Yeah, they'll come out and they might be the best carpenter in the world, and they'll fix your fascia board. It'll be beautiful, but they didn't look to see if there's any other issues. Right. The thing that drives me crazy, folks, is if you spend $10 to solve an issue today, and then you have to turn around in less than a year and spend $10 more to fix it again. That's right. You wasted your money. Okay? Pay for the professional. Pay for the company that's got the insurances, that's got the licenses. Your real estate agent doesn't have to worry about, well, I guess you do, because you got for sale by owners.
Sure.
But if you're going to hire real estate agents, you know they've all been through the same training.
Yeah.
My trade is the only trade out there that I know of where you could have been a carpenter for another company yesterday and then go open up your own bootleg company today without any insurances,
Yeah.
And folks, let's be clear about this. If you hire someone without insurances and they get hurt on your job, your homeowner's insurance would be the responsible party, and they have the right, and they have been doing it where they have been denying claims. Guess where the funds come from to pay that workers' comp claim then? You're going to be selling your house, and because they'll seize it.
That's right.
All right, so
That's right.
there's, yeah, you can roll the dice. You can take chances all the time if you want to. Just understand what you're putting on the table for the gamble. Sometimes it just doesn't make sense. Are we more expensive? Of course we are. We've got licenses, we've got insurances, we've got overhead expenses to pay for, and we provide a 1-year craftsmanship warranty on anything that we do for you to make sure that if we did it wrong, we're coming back to fix it for free. Yeah. Does that help you out any at all?
Yeah, 100%. I also do want to make a punch in there. Not all real estate agents are trained all the same, by the way.
Oh,
like because it is. I mean, you are what you put into your craft in mind. Like the barrier of entry is easy, so anybody can go ahead and sell real estate, but at a high clip to actually help a client, a consumer, to actually push equity in Southwest Florida, period. I think that there's a lot of extra training that you should be doing as a licensed professional, because you could just get your license and immediately hang it up and be underneath somebody and not know anything about real estate, because some of the forms are standardized and easy, but learning markets, learning nuances, continuously being out in the field, market data, neighborhood specific items, 50% rule, having conversations with professionals on a weekly, daily basis.
I'll tell you a true story that happened to me and my family when we just bought a house in 2019.
Okay.
And this is over in Cypress Lakes area.
Yeah.
There was another house for sale around the corner, and my girlfriend and I said, well, let's just stop in and go look at it. And we stopped in there, a little young lady selling the house and had carpet, and she goes, oh, by the way, we're going to give you an allowance for the flooring. I'm like, why? She's like, well, it's got carpeting in it. Nobody likes carpeting. And I don't know why, just something tripped in the back of my head about the age of the home, and I thought to myself, I bet there's terrazzo underneath this carpet. And I went into the corner of a closet, and she pulled the carpet up, found the terrazzo, and we weren't going to buy. I looked at the lady and I said, do you have any idea what's under this carpet? She goes, no. I said, it's terrazzo. And the people pay big bucks for that floor if it's finished.
For sure.
And she goes, what's that?
Oh, I don't know what terrazzo is.
So I gave her a little coaching class. I said, you really need to let your realtor know about this stuff. I said, take that bonus off the table.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, listen, Joe, Jose, it's been a pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for the dialogue.
Of course.
Tell folks how they can get in touch with you real quick.
Yeah, so I mean, if you're in the Southwest Florida area, you can reach out to me anytime. Jose Carreras with VIP Realty, 239-699-8204. You can catch me on Instagram, TikTok. If you just put in Jose Carreras, put in the realtor, or else you're going to get the singer. But other than that, you're going to find me all the same. So Jose Carreras, realtor. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you. And folks, I'm Mark Arnett, Sunset Builders and Maintenance. Our office number is 239-236-9646. We are located in the old Kmart Plaza, 15271 McGregor Boulevard, Suite number 3, right next to my favorite seafood house, Salty Papa's Shrimp House. Please come and check out the food. I can't speak highly enough of it. And call us on your next remodeling project. We'd love to help you out.